Kev, let's do it, bro.
Cool.
Good morning, world. Good morning to everyone. And welcome to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. You might notice that we are a little short of staff this morning, but that's fine. I do expect my partners to eventually chime in or come in, so that'll take place shortly. So we thank you all for coming to tune in with us shortly. And so after 7-week hiatus, yes, we are back for a third week in a row. We are back like a shark attack, back like we left some, back like we ain't got no clothes on our back. For the world is a better place when the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast is taking place. All right, y'all. So thank you for tuning in with us this morning as we conversate about the latest sports topic that's taken place from this past week and will be upcoming this week. It is always a blast to have you all tune in and participate with us every weekend. As a reminder that every week, we always like to begin our podcast by reminding our audience that the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast can be found on Facebook via the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast discussion page, on Spotify as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, YouTube as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, Apple Podcasts as the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, as well as our own Facebook pages via Brandon Price, Jamar Goodman, and Peoples Hernandez. Today is September 3rd of 2022. We have yet again seen another fascinating week in the sports world, where we've seen Donovan Mitchell move on from the beautiful state of Utah and start a new journey with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Chicago Sky bounced back and evened up the WNBA semifinals against the Connecticut Sun with a decisive Game 3 on Sunday, as well as the Las Vegas Aces evening up the other WNBA semifinals against the Seattle Storm after a classic 33-point outing from A'ja Wilson, outlasting a monster performance from Breanna Stewart, Kevin, who effortlessly put up 32. 2022 college football campaign is now kicked off and is back in full effect. Yeah. And lastly, the playoff races for Major League Baseball are now heating up with the regular season down to its final month. And so, introducing our guest for this morning, our brother Kevin Hough Jr., whom was invited by our fellow brother Jamar Goodman. And so one thing that we noticed here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast was the amount of your activity, Kevin, on our page and your fellow love and passion for sports in general. And so it seems as if, Kevin, you found a community of like-minded sports enthusiasts here on the Sports Talk podcast. And so we truly appreciate your support. As simply because your support comes through your love for sports, and it's something that we all have in common. And so we thank you, my friend. We welcome you to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. It is truly a pleasure to have you. And I want to ask you before we get going, explain to us maybe how you know Jamar Goodman or how you kind of came across the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast.
Oh man, thank you, man, for the just for that welcome. And just for kind of just inviting me to this family of great sports minds, active every day. Like I feel like anything that happens, I can rely on posts or you guys to kind of chime in on it. But yeah, the way me and Jamar had pretty much bumped into each other was working for a startup called Avant Credit, and it was around 2014, 2015, something around there. 2014 probably. And we all commuted through the same train. And hey,
my daughter.
How you doing? We all commuted through the same train. So South Shore Line at that point, I was staying southeast, so Hegewisch, and he was coming from Indiana, so we got on the same train. Walk the same way, work the same place. So we all pretty much myself, Sammy, and him. And we were just cool, we were tight, and we all trickled at the same time, away from the company as it grew. And we just kept in touch. And it's always been easy,
Right. Yeah, that is dope, man. That is great. And so yes, welcome to the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. I truly appreciate you jumping on, man. And yes, we are about to get into the conversation. And so, as we know, bro, we see our buddy here, man, Donovan Mitchell. He's
Yes.
transitioned from uh moving on to the Cleveland Cavaliers from, let's say, it seems as if, and you can kind of agree, it was like a disgruntled, very
Yeah.
disgruntled. So he was kind of just looking for a reason to go.
Yeah.
Just trying to find that reason. You know how folks be when they're ready to go, they try to find reasons. They try to show signs. And
Hmm.
so he was showing signs in Utah, showing them, letting them be obvious. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
eventually it happened. It happened. And that's how it works sometimes in real life, right? And so
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell, he's moved on. He's now with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so on a
Hmm.
podcast here, man, that bleeds red. It's a
Yes.
Chicago Bulls podcast. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan.
Yes.
Jamar's a Bulls fan. You're a Bulls fan.
Yes.
Ian's a Bulls fan. Um, I'm curious on the Central Division, right? Let's start with that. And so we got three, it seems
Okay.
like three pretty good teams now in this division. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious, man, with the core that's here
Hmm.
in Cleveland. And it was noted that he was ecstatic, bro, once he got the news
Yeah.
that Darius Garland was still gonna be in place, Kevin Love was still gonna be there,
Hmm.
Evan Mobley, Jared Allen.
Yeah.
That's a solid five. And then you add in Donovan Mitchell. And
Hmm.
so I'm just curious, bro. Like, does this make the Cleveland Cavaliers well, of course we know it's a threat to overtake, or let's say the Bulls maybe. I don't know about the Bucks, but I want to see how
Right.
you
Yeah.
feel. How do you feel about this Cleveland team? Do you feel that they are good enough to overtake the Bulls and Bucks in the division, or do you feel like the Bucks are still the prohibitive favorite in its division?
I feel like the Bucks are the prohibitive favorite still because they have cohesion, they have grit, and they got the same personnel. They have the same people who know how to get out those funks and kind of, get back on track. They know how to win. They know who to win with, and they don't just let anybody in. They kind of like the San Antonio Spurs in previous decades. They know how to keep a culture, a culture. So I think that's hard to overtake while we have the Bulls reestablishing a culture. And I love DeRozan. I've always been, how I've been about Zach LaVine. And Ball, we are trying to get that team back that we had post Jordan, probably one of our most successful teams when we had the Ben Gordon and the Kirk Heinrich and just that bench mob ish, even with Rose coming those years later. We're trying to get that identity back where it
Yeah.
was just that. And I think what I say that for is whoever could discover their identity quicker between Cleveland and us, which should be us because we've been a group already for a year. That will determine who is the second tier in the division. I'm confident it will be us just because of the signings of Drummond. I think Gordon, Drag. I just think those little things may trickle in the right direction. I think they trust Billy Doll and they respect Billy Doll.
Yeah.
So I think that is something we're not hearing any like grumblings, anything like that. And I think for Cleveland, it's gonna just be fun. They're not top five yet, but they're gonna make the playoffs. It's just gonna be competitive now. Now the East is competitive, like
Yeah.
from top to bottom. And like you said, man, starting five that Cleveland has, that is a support group for it. That's the best support for a disgruntled player to come to. You don't really go, Anthony Davis didn't really come to support like that, or other players that force themselves out, even Harden. You had Embiid, you had but it was a down. We don't know about that Rivers, we don't know, things like that. This is a great team to come to, and he might attract maybe a couple key pieces. I know the Morris is one of them just got signed, but I could see somebody like that come wanting to go there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's interesting. The Central Division, I mean, I'm really liking this division, man. It's very competitive. This is a nice starting five, bro. You telling me you got Donovan Mitchell who can go off. Donovan, I mean, let's not. I mean, as you know, man, this man golf for 45 or 50 any night.
Yes.
Golf for
Like,
45, 50 even night. Evan Mobley. This kid is like I
wow.
look at him like a baby Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Very fundamentally sound, does all the right things,
Mhm.
gets buckets. It's not the fancy buckets, but it's the
No.
little things, and they all add up. And so
Yes.
this guy is definitely a very important piece for that franchise. Kevin Love, right? He's been kind of riding the wave. He's the vet, been on that squad for the longest. Won the championship, had all those finals runs with LeBron and J.R. Smith and those guys. He's been the lone guy that stayed through the thick and thin. And so you keep him around sort of like they got Udonis in Miami, right?
Yeah, statesman.
But the thing is about Kevin Love is he's actually on the court. Where
Yeah,
Udonis is just getting in the blowouts. But right, right. But in a way, he's still like a coach. He's still like a coach for the team.
Yeah.
So his presence is there. And it's worked out really well for the Cavaliers. His veteranship. Yeah, man. These guys can play. These guys are not, like just scrubs. Kevin Love, if you leave him open, Kevin, I think we all can agree he can hit a few threes. He can hit a few layups. That's great. Jared Allen, man, he was a borderline all-star, right?
Yeah.
This man was a borderline all-star. Darius Garland was an all-star. He was an all-star last year. So this is a good basketball team. But then you got us. And so thank you for bringing up that. Darius Garland, I mean, you just mentioned Gordon Dragic. This guy's a vet, bro.
Man.
He will take so much pressure, so much insurance for Lonzo Ball now. We got insurance for Lonzo Ball. Very good insurance.
Yes.
That will be reliable, that will be able to get a bucket for us. That is very playoff experience. And so I really love that signing. I love that signing actually more than Andre Drummond. But Andre Drummond is that presence that we've been missing, right? He's that presence that, Kevin, when we was talking about, and if you watch the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, we've been talking about our softness down low. The Bulls been missing a presence down low to where they can bang with somebody, get dirty, get rebounds. And no disrespect to Vujovic, but he's more of a finesse, more of a pretty type basketball player. He's the type that'll get dirty, get rugged, Memphis Grizzlies type. But Andre Drummond, he don't mind that smoke. So Andre, he can come right in, fit right in. Good morning, Jamar. How are you, bro?
Jamar, how you doing, man?
Morning, gentlemen. Sorry for being late. I'm still in and out, but I'll be here as long as I can, though.
Yeah.
Yes, we appreciate it, bro. And so, yes, you got Andre Drummond that can come fill that void. Zach LaVine is an all-star. DeMar DeRozan is an all-star. And then we got the mighty Bucks, man. Some people got the Bucks as a perennial favorite to win the championship. People was stating that if Chris Middleton didn't get hurt last year in the playoffs, that they firmly believe that the Bucks would have came out the East. We had a nice NBA Finals last year with Boston, but some people felt that Milwaukee was really that team to get Golden State. And so I'm very excited. I don't believe that none of us are better than the Bucks, but I know that it's definitely going to be a battle up front between us and Cleveland for that second place spot. And so it'll be very interesting to see. But one thing, like you mentioned, Kevin, that we got is that experience. And we got that cohesion. And so we could use that for our benefit. And so, Jamar, bro, just curious, man, with the Central Division, how do you feel about it, man? How do you feel about the Central Division? Do you feel that Milwaukee is still a favorite? And how do you feel like Cleveland and the Bulls kind of balance out in regards to the competitiveness in its division?
I mean, I firmly believe Milwaukee is still the favorite in that division. I mean, to me, they have the best player on the planet right now. And the team is chemistry-wise is all the way there. they have a lot of cohesion, a lot of pieces that fit together. They've been doing this a lot longer.
Yeah.
For us, we're still trying to figure it out. We saw a lot of things that did work last year, and we also saw things that didn't work when we missed certain players, like Lonzo Ball. That one right there, the fact that he's still not going to be ready for training camp, and he's been out for I don't know how long. Like that right there is deflating. And as exciting as Cleveland is right now, I guess we got to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, yeah, man, when it comes to Milwaukee, they definitely have some people view him as the best player, and it's so debatable, Kevin, right? Between Giannis, between KD, maybe even Braun. These guys are just all in that next level. And so very, very interesting, man, to watch that division and just to see how things progress. But one thing I want to say, Jamar, lastly, this sucks for the New York Knicks. This sucks because this franchise failed to get this guy. And the bad part about this is that he is a hometown kid of New York. Yeah, like New York is a great city if anybody's ever been. And they failed to get him. And no disrespect to the Forest City. I know some people call it the 216, but here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, we would just mention the Forest City.
The Forest City. I'm with it.
The Forest. You like it, the Forest City, aka Cleveland, Ohio. He chose the Forest City over the Big Apple, and so this must apparently say a lot about the New York Knicks franchise.
Man, it's just
man, they can't get right.
No,
they just can't. Like, I haven't seen the Knicks like consistently competitive since the 90s. Consistently competitive. Not I'm talking about a year here or there. I'm talking about consistent.
Yeah, consistent. Right. No. Yeah, it's been the 90s, and they had that 1 year where they had everybody with Kid and Chandler and Melo or whatever. That was probably the most like, okay, they did something in the offseason. But the 90s is the most consistent they've been. It's a joke. But they're like Dallas, the Cowboys. You want them to be America's team so badly that you're willing to come up with excuses. And, they end up on Forbes list and, everything, so it's crazy. But
and it's crazy the fact that you mentioned the Cowboys, and yet both the Knicks and the Cowboys are the most valuable teams in their respective sports. So that's how much these people are still like valuing these teams, and yet they just can't get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, and the Knicks is like the value. It's crazy, right? This is New York City. Like all that value, and you can't get Donovan Mitchell. It's really bad. All right, guys. Let's move on to some football. And so additionally, Jamar, in regards to the tag, bro, I could not tag all the folks you usually tag. And so I know usually you kind of do like a tag of certain people. And so
I got you right now.
Yep, thanks, bro.
Copy and paste. Okay.
All right, and so Kevin, we're gonna go to you, bro. We're gonna start with you just with the college football playoff. And so the college football playoff has now voted to a 12-team playoff format. And I love this. That will possibly begin as soon as 2024. And so just curious, guys, do you like this? What are your thoughts on this? And when this begins, how do you guys feel this will affect the overall competitive landscape? And or will there be really a change in general? Like, will there really be much of a change when this takes place? And so just curious, first and foremost, Kev, do you like this, man? Do you like this? How do you feel about this?
I do. The marketing brain of me likes it because it's going to earn more revenue. Just a competitive landscaping and, more ticket opportunity for the fans to see not just the same 4 to 6 teams winning or the undefeated teams going undefeated. They can now see an array of you just have different teams that can make it. Ohio State, you just have a lot of different teams that can make it now. Even I guess the best example, like the Florida Gators between 2018, 2020, missing it and being now they can make it now. And it just, to me, a fan I am for any sport is I love to see good parity, but I like to really see the best of the best, not just this crop of who you think is the best, and we watch the same thing every year. So I'm really excited for the parody, but also just for the expansion of it. And we're going to see a lot more versus I knew that was going to happen.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited about this one. Jamar, man, how do you feel about this? Finally it's a 12-team playoff.
I've been on the fence, but I'm gonna take the devil advocate approach here.
Really?
Like 12, I feel like 12 is too much because I feel like it kind of waters it down to me. I feel like 8 would have been the optimal number because it's like I could see like 8 teams like every year always, within that top 4, range trying to get in, and then, last second losses here, last second wins here and there, kind of like jumps the standings. 12, I just don't want to see, a couple teams that are pretenders get in, and then it's just like, they get whitewashed and just blown out, and just like why are they even here to begin with? That's my only thing. I'm for the expansion. I thought it was a little bit too much, but maybe, when we see it in 2026, that I might be a believer by then, because at that point, maybe the SEC would be a lot stronger when they add Texas and whomever else that came over there. Maybe that might add a little bit more suspense to it at that point. So it has a chance to change my mind. The Big Ten growing bigger with USC and no California team. So maybe by that point, I might be more for it. But as of right now, I'm a little skeptical.
Well, let's talk about it, fellas, because the 12-team format, and I hear you, Jamar, in regards to the 8, because it really keeps it super competitive. Boom, these are the 8. These are the real contenders. But y'all don't like sometimes when you see that little sneaky dog that come up one day and it's just one game here, y'all, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, big old Alabama, big old Georgia. And then they run up against Cincinnati or something. And the possibility, I just love the possibility, guys, of one of these teams getting caught lacking. So, like, wow, we look up one day and we see like a huge upset. And we like, wow, like we never ever probably would see this if we didn't have this 12-team playoff format. And so now we don't have Alabama versus Georgia every year. Alabama versus every year, Alabama. And so it kind of adds to a probability of a higher chance of a little guy knocking off Alabama. And I think the committee, in a way, maybe, I don't know what y'all think. Maybe they were thinking, like, if we don't change this, Jamar, Alabama's going to run a damn table every year because they get the best players.
Yeah. And I think they took a page out of the NBA's book, too. I think when you look at, like, product and kind of how people feel about it, the best team wins in the NBA. You know what I mean? Versus, I think in the NFL, it's almost like who had the better play, who had more endurance, who didn't miss, the opportunity. So I think it's still one and done, but I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot more surprises. It's going to be interesting. And I think it's not so much of a sample sizing anymore. It's not a cult of winners. It's a tournament now. Like, it's a thing now.
Right, exactly. And this brings me and Jamar, I know you're an Indiana guy, but you're an Illinois guy too. Top of the morning, Deshaun. Good morning, bro. But Deshaun is also a Notre Dame fan. And so this actually gives Notre Dame a chance to not only Jamar get eliminated in the national championship game, but with this playoff format, Kevin, they could get eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
So we really can see Notre Dame get knocked out early, because we know damn well that they don't belong on the same field as LSU, Clemson, or Alabama. They don't. And so, Deshaun, I please want you to chime in, because Notre Dame always get nice recruits, but they just ain't SEC. They just not. And so, like, Now we can finally see Notre Dame go up toe-to-toe with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati probably beat them in the first round if they were to play, or the second round, or whatever, how they going to format this thing. Compared to them, just because they're Notre Dame, right? Going to the national semifinal and getting trounced by Alabama by 50 points, and everybody's sitting there and everybody and their mama saying, we knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so, yeah, you know, like, this is part of the reason why I love this new format, because some of these teams will get trounced that don't really belong. And then you could see the possibility of the big guys getting trounced.
Yeah.
But then, as if Jamar's saying, Notre Dame, Alabama, and in a way, Kevin, if Alabama continue to get the recruits they get, this could very well turn out to be the same damn thing, really, because they will be the best, period. And it don't matter who they play, they just gonna beat you because they have the best.
Yeah. But it might allow, and Jamar go, I was gonna say it might allow for other teams to be exposed for opportunities for recruitment. So this might be interactively something where the team, a Cinderella team, makes it, or there's a consistency of a team, emerging team, they might actually be considered to get the higher talent, just because this will be pre-exposure and more exposure. That's my thought on that.
That's true. I was gonna say, like, I know Alabama has been the cream of the crop with recruiting for at least the last 10 to 15 years, it feels like.
Yeah.
But I personally think I don't think that's going to be the case. Yeah, I do. Between the additions to the SEC and, more importantly, the NIL in the past few years, that changes the landscape a lot. Like, I mean, I know we talked about it before, but just the impact on that, I mean, it makes, anybody a fair game. Look at Jackson State. That's a perfect example. Getting 5-star recruits. I mean, I don't think Alabama is going to be as a premier dominant school going forward. I think within the next 5 years, I think that changes. I really do.
Right. And what about additionally, Jamar, Kevin, how do you guys feel about these conference changes? It seemed like we're heading to like two huge conferences. And so maybe that kind of changes the landscape too a little bit, because now you got more competitive teams that's going to be playing each other.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a gauntlet pretty much, you ain't just playing Mississippi now, you playing possibly USC, and then the next week you playing Mississippi.
I mean, just look at it like this, like Texas, perfect example. Texas, when we was growing up, that was like one of the cream of the crop prestigious schools, and they have fallen off for a while, but Texas still has a big name. Texas, however, played in the Big 12. SEC is the most, prestigious, college football conference that we know. Texas name gets, I guess, rejuvenated because they're in the SEC now. So just little things like that.
Right. And so, yes, like you stated, Jamar, this playoff will definitely be taking place in 2026. But they say it's a possibility of 2024. However it works, I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I'm looking forward to these conference changes. College football is changing, y'all, right before our eyes. And it's changing a whole lot. And it's not the same traditional college football that we've seen for a long time. Instead, now it's a very different landscape, and it's continuing to change. And so, here we go.
They're doing what they need to do to kind of make it more interesting.
What they need to do, bro. Yes. And so, all right, guys. And so 2 weeks ago, we spoke and gave our viewers our list of our top 8 quarterbacks and wide receivers headed into the NFL season. And then last weekend, with our guest, the Reverend Dr. William Crowder Jr., we spoke and gave our top 5 referees. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We didn't give our top 5 referees, Jamar. Excuse me, I apologize.
Y'all crazy.
Our top 5 wide receivers and running backs in the NFL. And so as a result, if possible, Kevin, we want to put you on the spot as well, bro, because you are
Okay.
with the so we will put you on the spot though, because we will talk about defense. And so we will talk about our top defensive rated players in the game. And so you definitely appear to know your sports, man. And so for defense, we will start with the defensive tackle position. In which possibly we all can agree who was our number one rated defensive tackle, but we'll still name that individual. But we still, y'all, let's give our top 5 defensive tackles. And then, y'all, let's counteract with our top 5 pass rushers. And so it does not necessarily, y'all, have to be the defensive end, not an edge rusher, but we talking about pass rushers because we got Khalil Max of the world. We got Sam linebacker, right?
You got put him in there.
Right. You get what I'm saying, Kevin. You got Sam linebackers that can rush on the edge as well. And so let's start though with our top 5 defensive tackles. And you know, go from there. And then from there we'll get to our top 5 pass rushers. And so Kevin,
Yes.
give me your top 5 defensive tackles heading into the season.
It's funny because I just had a fantasy draft like a couple nights ago. And this was my list. Like I was like just looking kind of how, because I haven't done the fantasy draft like in 4 or 5 years. I'll talk about it. I'll read the magazines and stuff. But
by the way, shout out to the Destination Fantasy Podcast, everybody.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
yes, sir. Okay.
Go ahead, Kev.
Shameless plug. So I'm gonna go off the list here. One of one, Aaron Donald. He's number one. He's his own tier. I think it's just gonna be. Before I think it was like you just had your legends, but he's his own little sector. I think when I think about defense, most of the time I think about disruptiveness, and that is Jones. He's very disruptive. Yes. He does all the little things right and the big things great. So I feel like on the defensive end, that's how I see him. And then it kind of gets a little tricky because I like Jonathan Allen, but he kind of fell off last year a little bit to me. So I will actually have him 5th, but 1 and 2 Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. And I like Buckner. I like Buckner. Buckner is mean. Yeah. And then
he's the man.
And then Cameron, he's elite. So I'll say Darnold, Jones, Buckner, Hayward, and Allen.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Jamar, bro. You heard that top 5. Who you got for your top 5 for defensive tackles?
Well, number one is number one. That goes without mentioning. We can just keep it moving for obvious reasons. 2, I got Cam Hayward 2nd. I just feel like his impact on the Steelers, it's pretty significant. Without him, that team just falls apart. I don't think Watt is as effective without Hayward. That's just my opinion. Jones has been a very solid, consistent player for Kansas City. And so without him, I mean, that defense would be pretty trash. Like it's solid, average at best. Without him, 4, I'm giving love to DeForest Buckner. I feel like he doesn't get enough flowers for the stuff that he does.
45 sacks.
That man is pretty consistent. And so, I just want to show him some love. And then 5, I mean, I could have went different ways. I just wanted to give flowers to Vea.
Tampa.
Yeah, I just wanted to show him some love because, during their Super Bowl run, he was very important. He was very vital. Last couple of years, he's been playing at a very high level. So I just wanted to show him some flowers there too. So. Yeah.
Thanks for that wild card, Vita Vea, because he's a man, y'all. That's a grown man for sure. Yeah, that's a grown man for sure. The reason why I put Jonathan Allen, y'all, in my top 5, and look, I agree, Kevin. He fell off last year. It was a disappointment last year with the Commanders. But one thing with Jonathan Allen is I know he got a lot of potential, bro. And so
All
I
around.
believe that he will bounce back and have a very good year. And so for that reason, I'm gonna put him in my top 5 because I know of the great potential that he has, and because he's an Alabama guy. So I got Jonathan Allen in my top 5. I think he will have a great year for the Commanders. Number 4, DeForest Buckner. We always give the flowers to Jonathan Allen. And how important he is for the Indianapolis Colts. But on the defensive side, man, Indianapolis got a pretty damn good front 7. You know, we know about their linebacker core, but this guy, DeForest Buckner, plays an important role too. And just in case, world, y'all don't know about DeForest Buckner, we giving him his love here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. This is a grown man. He handles his business. He is a vital, important piece for what Indianapolis does. So I'm looking forward to him having a big year. If the quarterback plays right in Indianapolis, I want to say this. If the quarterback plays right in Indianapolis, then guess what? Teams got to pass the ball more. And if teams pass the ball,
yeah, that's true.
This allows DeForest Buckner to eat. This allows him to eat. And so Indianapolis' biggest problem has been that quarterback. This has always been a good football team, in my opinion. Very good football team. But, you know, if you get a quarterback, which they got a quarterback, they got another vet. They love vets for some reason in Indianapolis. He plays the right way, and Indianapolis can be up in a division which really ain't all that tough outside of Tennessee. But we know what Ryan Tannehill can do. He can give a game away, man. He can throw a pick on the first play. He can throw a pick on the last play.
I think I got it, you know what I mean? Right.
And so, we know what our guy can do in Nashville. And so if the quarterback plays well, man, if our guy Matt plays well, it'll allow DeForest Buckner to really eat. Number 3 for me is Cameron Hayward. He's vital to the Steelers, man. He led them to the playoffs last year, damn it. I can't even really think of who's really good. Najee Harris is developing, and a lot of people feel that he'll be a great running back this year. But defensively, that's what's really been holding the Steelers down. They got one of the best defensive lines in football. And so shout out to Cameron Hayward. We're giving him his flowers. This guy is a vet, and he does all the right things on and off the field. Number 2, Chris Jones. Chris Jones, y'all, for me is every time I look up and Kansas City needed a big play, it wasn't Tyrann Mathieu. It was Chris Jones defensively. Chris Jones, however, sadly enough, was one of the big pieces, Jamar, for a defense that I viewed as terrible. If Kansas City had a stronger defense, no disrespect to our guys in Cincinnati, but I feel like Kansas City would have beat Cincinnati. But, you know, they had a really bad defense, but Chris Jones was definitely one of the bright spots on that team. So, yes. And then number 1, Aaron Donald. I don't even want to talk about that. He's a man amongst boys. All right. Let's now move on to our pass rushers. And so, Jamar, who you got for your top 5 pass rushers, brother? Who you got in your top 5?
Number 5, I have Cameron Jordan. Number 5. That's another guy that flies under the radar. You know, he's just a model of consistency. 12.5 sacks last year for a New Orleans defense that's always on the tougher side of things these past few days, and he's been one of the reasons why. Number 4, I'm going Micah Parsons.
Parsons. I like that one.
I mean, he is him and Diggs, but more so him in general for the Dallas Cowboys was the reason why, you know, the Cowboys was even relevant last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. 13 sacks, just doing things that rookies normally don't do at all. So he was an instant impact player, getting after it. I mean, he said in the I think yesterday, the day before, basically saying that, quote, I know what I have to do now, be the best player in the league. That's what he's on. That's his mentality right now. So I'm kind of curious. Right. Number 3, I'm going Chandler Jones.
Thank you.
Man,
Go ahead.
Hey, I feel like I know Devontae Adams to the Raiders was a big thing, but this one right here is like 1A, 1A for the Raiders. This dude just, when he's healthy, he's a game changer. He is. He's been doing it, in the desert for so long. But him being in the desert, that's probably why he doesn't get the full recognition he deserves. We recognize him, but I don't think we fully recognize him. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is more so 1 and 1A for me. You can flip flop these around, in my opinion. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. That's where I'm at. I mean, Myles Garrett is just a man amongst boys, a monster amongst men, whatever you want to call it. He fits that description. Mm-hmm. And, if it wasn't by his play, then it was by the helmet. So, I mean, one or the other, you understand how strong that dude is. And then TJ Watt, I know, Deshaun probably be happy that I mentioned him. I mean, the man is a monster. I mean, I just want to make sure that people fully recognize TJ Watt to the fact that, I mean, he's not a fluke. This is legit. Like, this man wrecks games just like his brother used to a decade ago. Like, he might actually be better when it's all said and done than his brother. Mm-hmm. He's on that trajectory. So that's my top 5.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it is very, very fascinating, bro, that you bring up these 2 guys, because I love both of these guys, man. And it's funny that Jamar brought up the helmet. And so, we remember that moment. And so, Kevin, who's in your top 5, bro, for the top 5 pass rushers?
It mirrors a lot of what Jamar said, but I will put respect on Khalil Mack's name.
Okay.
I sat by Khalil Mack one thing when I was meeting with a client, and I thought he was gonna tackle me, and I didn't do anything. But no, he's a real cool guy, real chill guy. So I
hey, is this calves as big as it looks on TV?
Man, I thought
that's a good question.
I thought he was floating. That was his calf. You know what I mean? Like he's a big dude. And like when he was sitting, he was like, he had his brothers with him and his family, but he pretty, like, he needed that space to himself. Like they sat like around. They didn't like sit close to him at all. Whatever. Right. So it's like he a big dude. He a big dude, man. So I put Khalil back there because I say Miles and TJ, I think they are interchangeable. It's kind of like, it kind of like when I think if we can switch over like Giannis and Steph, it's almost like, who's top as far as like they don't do the same thing, but they're both great in their own way, and they're both always consistent in models of consistency. So I like them both. So I'll probably put TJ though more because I think, like you say, he's gonna be better than his brother. I like Joey. Ever since he won Rookie of the Year, he's been, always in the top 5. I like that. I just like when people always are there and they do just something. They grow 1% a year. Like they do something else better or do something more like at a different rate. So I got Khalil, TJ, Miles, but Khalil's honorary in this. Cameron, man.
Yeah, Cameron Jordan. Yes.
Yeah. Just even though he made All-Pro once, I just think that he does enough to stay in this conversation, and he also makes sure that when at least when it's the moments are in the reins of just on the defensive side, he makes an impact quickly, and you remember who it was and why it was. And I think that's my 5, man. Yes. Yeah. Khalil, TJ, Miles, Joey, Cameron.
Yeah. Shout out to the love for Chandler Jones, Jamar, and then additionally, shout out to the love for Khalil Mack. That's interesting, Kevin, that you still got him in your top 5. After he's been hurt a lot, but that shows you just how good of a football player he is and just how much of an impact he's made. And so for me, number 5, I actually got Cameron Jordan. Cameron Jordan, I battled between him and Chandler Jones, bro. And the reason why I did, and I know they're both great. The reason why I chose Cameron Jordan, though, is because I feel like Cameron Jordan is more clutch. I just feel like when it's outside of the pass rushing, I feel like Cameron Jordan is just a better overall football player, you know? But when we talking from the pass rush, both of these guys will get on your ass. Both of them will. But the one little thing that I see really is the difference is if I feel like a quarterback throw a screen, I feel like Cameron Jordan be the guy that'll tip the ball and intercept and take it the other way. You know, like I've seen him do that type of stuff. You know, I've seen him literally hold the Saints relevant, you know, like even when they shouldn't be relevant. And so I want to give Cameron Jordan his flowers here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. So that's why I put him as number 5. Number 4, Joey Bosa, man. What a defensive line, at least on paper, that they got in LA, not the Rams, the Chargers. You got Khalil Mack, but you got a guy named Joey Bosa too. Joey Bosa is a man amongst boys. He is going to be a perennial defensive player of the year candidate this year. You know, this other guy I'm getting to will be later, but he reminds me a lot of him. These boys are dogs. Joey Bosa and the rest of these guys that's in my top 5. Number 3, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett took 1 helmet. And so he took 1 helmet off a head. And so I'll eventually get to my number 1 guy who took 2 helmets off a head. But in between those guys is TJ Watt. TJ Watt, I feel like, honestly, Kevin, TJ Watt has been robbed of the Defensive Player of the Year for the last 3 years. He's been robbed. This guy should have won in 2021. I mean, 2020 and 2021. This dude wreaked havoc, but he wasn't as finesse as the winner in 2020-21, which I believe might have been Aaron Donald. And so, like, if it was, do me a favor, check who is the Defensive Player of the Year in 2020-21. Because I don't believe it was TJ Watt. I know he won last year. And it was finally like he finally won. Finally. Like, this is great. He finally won. Although he should have won the previous year.
I thought it was Aaron Donald that year.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was Aaron Donald 2020, 2021 TJ.
In 21?
Yeah.
Right. And who was behind him? TJ Watt, right?
Yeah, it was TJ Watt. It was TJ Watt in 2021, Aaron Donald 2020, Stephon Gilmore, and then Aaron Donald 2018.
Yeah, because Deshaun was mad about Aaron Donald winning that year when it should have been TJ Watt. Yeah.
I'm in agreement, man. I feel like he should have won in 2020-21. He was robbed. He was completely robbed. It was a highway robbery. And he had a great defensive year even prior to that, Kevin. And so this guy is a monster, man. And I view him as really, you can interchange him and Myles Garrett, but you can kind of interchange him for Aaron Donald a little bit too. But I got to put Aaron Donald as number 1. And it's not just mainly because of the 2 helmets that he took off recently from Cincinnati, but it's because of the double and the triple teams that they put on this man, Kevin. And he still
was like
5 ways to move through all these guys blocking him. It's just amazing.
He got the moves.
It's so amazing. He got the strength too.
Yeah.
Dude is a tank. The dude is
let me ask y'all this impromptu question. The way that we are witnessing Aaron Donald right now, in our lifetime, from what we're witnessing in our generation, do you think he is the Lawrence Taylor of this generation, based on what we're seeing right now?
That's what I was trying to allude to earlier. Yeah, like I think he is.
Hell yeah, bro. Like this dude, man, like he is, for me, no disrespect to Tom Brady, but for me, the best player in football is Aaron Donald.
Yeah,
That's the
like
best
there's a football player, like that affects the
best overall player is Aaron Donald. He needs more MVP, Jamar. He needs more MVP consideration. Skip defensive player of the year. He's past that. He needs more MVP consideration.
You go there for him. You know,
because Lawrence Taylor won it. I feel like he needs more MVP consideration, Jamar.
I'm with you. I mean, why not last year when the Rams was doing what they were doing? Like, how come he didn't get consideration then? It's so much quarterback driven these days. It's ridiculous. The only non-quarterback that won in the last 10 years was Adrian Peterson. I mean, it's watered down as an offensive quarterback award now. It's ridiculous.
That's so bad. You know, that's so bad. All they want to do is give it to a quarterback. But we know, man, like it's guys out there that are non-quarterback that wreaks havoc. And Aaron Donald is that dude. Like this man deserves MVP consideration. And we are saying that on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. And we will put that out there. But it's more people outside the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. I'm sure Jamar, Destination Fantasy, TPM Sports Talk, No Offense Radio, Reverend Crowder, Ian, everybody and their mama know that Aaron Donald deserves MVP consideration and that he is the best player in football. No disrespect to Tom Brady. Although he's won 7 Super Bowls, he's still not the best player in football right now.
No, that man does not want to be home because after retirement, he got that deal with Fox. That man it's like goodness.
Yeah, we talk about Tom Brady, man. It's a be our whole. We got so much to talk about, man. But yeah, rankings out there, y'all believe they got him as the top rated player in football this year, and I'm just sitting there like, damn, like this dude going on 45, and they got him as the best player in football. That's
wild to me.
And that's peer said, like his peers said that about.
That lets me know some of these peers don't know what they're doing. Like I don't care how like in tune you are with the league and how close you are to your contemporaries. I mean, it's clear as day that Aaron Donald is the guy right now, not a 45-year-old quarterback.
Right. So yeah, man. How do y'all feel? Deshaun, Ian, y'all can always chime in too. Okay.
Yeah, they agree. Like Deshaun said, yes, he is. As far as him being the Lawrence Taylor of this generation, hands down, he was lab created. He ain't real. No lies told. Like they're in full agreement.
Yeah. Do you guys you guys got any top 5 you want to put in there as far as like edge rushers, pass rushers, guys? If you want to put those in the comments as well, and we'll shout them out as well, because we talk about Jamar, and it's just crazy because it really lets me know how deep edge and pass rushes is, because we got guys, we all got different guys technically. If you guys online are seeing, we all got a different top 5, all of us.
And they're all elite. It's like there's no wrong answers here for this topic. I strongly believe like I would be happy to have any one of those guys on my team. I feel like I can compete. Heck, even Robert Quinn on our team right now is he should get some recognition for what he did last year. So I'm just saying it's a lot of elite guys out there right
now. Absolutely. Yes, it is so many elite guys. And it's a pleasure to talk about, man. And so y'all world, let us know. We gonna get into college football, but please give us your top 5 and we'll chime in on it. All right, fellas. So we got the number 5, and this is who you got. So football is back, y'all, and it's the most wonderful time of the year. Yes, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It is. And so, guys,
everything's coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So we got some big games going on. We got the number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They are going to Columbus. And so I'm just curious, Jamar, who you got in this game and why?
Man, I got Ohio State. I feel like this is not about to be close. Like I for whatever reason Notre Dame is ranked 5th. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
No, it's Ohio State. They about to blow them out. If whatever, like I don't know why they keep doing this to Notre Dame. Notre Dame keeps getting put on this prime time at the beginning of the year, gets smacked, and then we talk about how bad Notre Dame is, and Notre Dame has a cupcake schedule, find its way back into the promised land. Look, Ohio State, this is scripted. Ohio State's going to blow them out, probably by like 20-some points.
Yeah. People Hernandez, what do you think, man? I just really quickly, Kevin. Ohio State, oh my God, Jamar. Oh my God. Their offense is oh my God.
Yeah.
But their receivers and that quarterback, it is like, oh my God.
I think they just scored. They just scored right now.
Seriously. Notre Dame down 14-0 already.
Like these receivers, I'm just sitting there like, and these are like big name receivers that are like of children of legends, NFL legends, and they riding the bench at Ohio State, and it's like they are still pretty good too. Though.
Like they are starting into a farm system of wide receivers. Like, if I'm not mistaken, didn't 3 of them get drafted last year? I mean, this past draft.
Now,
first round.
Yes, 3 in the first round. Like, I thought LSU was a factory for wide receivers. Ohio State turning the page, yeah. Sheesh,
real, bro. This is true, man. Kevin, who you got, bro?
Ohio, man. The only way they're gonna be outplayed is physicality. If they can do that, then we might see something. But this is the barbecue chicken alert. You know what I mean? This is a rib fest for Ohio State right now, and this is their favorite barbecue sauce too. Something like that. So I don't have much to add to what's already been added. I want to say there would be an upset, but there will not.
Right. I just want to say this, guys. If Notre Dame get blown out today, next week on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, Jamar, I'm just letting you know I'm going ham. Because Notre Dame always gets this special treatment because they're Notre Dame and because they got a lot of money and, CEOs, kids go there and stuff like that or whatever this strategy.
I mean,
you about to say something, Jamar?
Yeah, I mean, but they have to because Notre Dame is just like the Los Angeles Lakers, just like the New York Yankees, just like the Dallas Cowboys. They are that premier brand. It's just what it is, man.
Also, and so because they got this brand, let's put them as number 5, guys.
Yeah.
Let's put them as number 5.
Maybe they won't notice.
Right, like.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even notice it was 5 until I just looked. I'm like, what? They just snuck right on in there.
Come right through the door. It's like a VIP treatment, right? Like, I'm from Notre Dame. Let me in, goddammit. Like, I'm from Notre Dame. I ain't got to work for the college football playoff. I'm Notre Dame. I just walk right through the door, goddammit. Like, and all these other teams sitting there like, we will smack Notre Dame. And we play in the AAC. And we will smack Notre Dame. Like, we want to play them too. And so I'm telling y'all, that's why this college football playoff is going to be interesting with these 12 teams. Hello, say hello, boo-boo.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Because it's going to really show who Notre Dame is. And so, yes, I got Ohio State too, guys. But Kevin, you bring up a very interesting point. If Notre Dame can get physical, they got to get real dirty, guys. They got to slow the game down. They got to hit. They got to tackle. They got to get physical with the receivers. That gives them a chance. But then again, being in a big house, that's a big difference. And maybe if there's a Notre Dame, guys, we could probably all agree that it'll be a different game, maybe a little bit tighter. But being in the big house, that's going to be a tough outing. And so we will see, but I got the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Man, these comments real quick. People Hernandez says, like Marcus Freeman as a head coach at Notre Dame, he was a former Buckeye, so it might be a closer game. I want to see OSU defense this year, but I got my Buckeyes by 21. He also said Marvin Harrison Jr. should have a big year. And Deshaun said Notre Dame at 5. Who paying you? In Booby Mal's voice from Friday Night Lights. Notre Dame must be from Midland. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Paul Feinbaum went in. Stephen A. Smith went in. Shannon Sharp, they all went in when they found out that Notre Dame was ranked number 5. We'll see, guys. Who Notre Dame really is this afternoon. All right, guys. The reigning national champs. Do they get off to a good start? Are they really as good as last year, Jamal? We're about to find out. They go up against the Oregon Ducks. So, just curious, Kevin, who you got, bro? Oregon and Georgia.
I think Oregon may do what they did last year. They had a good season. I think with 10 wins. I think they know how to strike when the iron's hot, and I also believe they lost a lot of their people to like the NFL draft, not the Oregon, but
Okay.
So I think that might just be an adjustment, and it's just kind of it won't be too bad if they lose today, but I'm gonna put it on Oregon. I think they're gonna start where they left off, and I think they got, like we talked about earlier, identity and potential. So,
Okay. Yep. Jamar, who you got, man? You got Georgia, Oregon.
Boy, Georgia about to wax the floor on Oregon. Man.
Yeah,
Look,
I think they too physical.
The only thing that's about to be nice with Oregon is their uniforms. That's all I'm gonna tell you today. Georgia is real. Georgia is the real deal. I know Georgia, I don't think it's a national championship hangover here at all. I think Georgia wants to let.
No, but
I don't see it, because it's more. I think it's deeper than that. They want to let Alabama know that was not a fluke.
That was not a fluke. Okay.
I think that's what it is. Just like when Clemson was doing their thing, they wanted to let Bama know this is not a fluke either.
Right.
And this is what I mean by, I think Alabama's like superior reign is starting to come down to an end. I just think Georgia's like serious.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
It's gonna be a good game, but for some reason I see an upset here.
Right. You feel like Kev is gonna be a good game, right? Competitive.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game on both sides. But if I'm on DraftKings today, which I might be,
right.
Same here.
Yeah. So
right. I like y'all hustle, man, with the DraftKings. Get that money, baby. Yeah, shout out to DraftKings, by the way, on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Get your hustle on, man. It is so many ways you can make money out here. Stop. Sports.
I had
put your money in, man. And it ain't gotta be a lot too. You can put a little in and get a lot out.
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say I had tagged Jamar in that sports bar that's on the north side. Remember with all those TVs? And I got the thing. When B is back, we gotta like just all come,
Man, I'm gonna have to check that out for real.
Yeah. I'm gonna find it and retag and put you into it. And I think you'll like it.
All right.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. That's how it works, man. The Early Morning Sports Talk podcast, we want to do our best, man, to be a connector. And so yes, awesome, man. So in other words, Jamar, it sounds as if Oregon is showing up with good uniforms. They come in there to look pretty. They're going to look pretty to just get blown out. But the good thing about it is that they'll at least have some nice uniforms.
So they're the kid that came to school with a nice haircut, but still not gonna do nothing in class. Or is that what you said?
Yep, pretty much, or the guy that comes to play
pickup
basketball.
This, man. This is hilarious.
With all the headbands and sweatbands on, and
all
the accessories,
with the matching Bulls jersey and everything.
Yep. Can't play a lick. Yep, that's exactly what this is.
I'm waiting.
Like, man, look at your socks, man. Look at your jersey. And then they get on the field. Look at how far he ran past you.
Yeah.
And so,
it's one of those.
Yeah. Georgia, one thing I do know, guys, I know they got rid of a lot of players, first round players, y'all, in the NFL draft last year.
10 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. But I will say this, they are returning their quarterback. And so that is a very positive sign for Georgia. He played a very, let's say, good game against a great Alabama team. in the national championship. And so yeah, all right. And Peoples Hernandez stated, not this game at least. Oregon ain't ready. And then he also stated Bo Nix ain't it. And so yeah, Bo Nix ain't
Nix. Oh my gosh.
Transfer from the Auburn.
Auburn.
We'll see. Yeah.
right. And
This
so
game's
yeah,
gonna be more interesting than Notre Dame, Ohio.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
I get you that.
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to watch it. So yeah, fellas. Football is back, and that is great. Oh my goodness. All right. NBA, WNBA, guys. Game 3 of the WNBA semifinals will both take place tomorrow, beginning with our Chicago Sky at 1 p.m. Which I believe y'all is translating to 12 noon Central Standard Time. And then from there, a follow-up of game 3 between the Las Vegas Aces and Seattle Storm. So tomorrow, guys, Sunday afternoon, get your popcorn ready. Great football. Lastly, y'all, we will talk about the Misery League of Baseball because we cover all sports here on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Hey, Kevin, we're even going to have a World Cup special, man. We're going to have folks from around the world.
Okay.
We're going to have folks from France. We're going to have folks from
I love that.
United States. We're going to talk about football, international football. And so we're going to do that when the World Cup come up in October. And so, yeah, right now we are talking about the Misery League of Baseball. And we just say that, Kevin, because we're White Sox.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been rough for us, man. It gets me emotional, Saturday mornings, it gets me emotional. Gets me really.
we turn to Stephen A.
Yeah,
the way he feels about the Knicks. We turn to Stephen A.
Yeah, man, it gets me really emotional, bringing up the White Sox, and just everything that happened. And, man, you got the bad news about our manager. He's 77.
I know.
He's getting up there, man. And he's out indefinitely for, health reasons and stuff. And, Jamar, he stated from day one that he was, he had drinking problems. And so he has, drinking problems. But Jamar just be raw. He just call him a drunk. He loves to get the ball. Some people believe that he'd be in the middle of the game getting him a swig in. Just get him a swig in, go out, manage the game.
You think just a swig?
Oh no, maybe more. The only thing I know is since LaRussa left, we are 3-0. And we are 3 games back in the AL Central. And so, Jamar, bro, legitly, this is good news. As the White Sox they've been 4 games out, but now they're 3 games out for first place in the American League Central, which technically means, guys, guess what? That we still, after all this, can still make the playoffs in October. That'd be a win if we just make the playoffs. I don't care if we lose. Just making the playoffs would be nice.
We always have a better product.
Having all those people in black shirts and playing in October, it'd be nice, right? It'd be nice, and you'll still have a chance for the World Series. And so I'm just curious, Jamar, with all the circumstances, does this news excite you this morning on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast?
Oh, the fact that El Drunko is not there anymore. That's the premise of it. That our quote unquote manager is not around, is out indefinitely because of health reasons. Is that the reason why that he's not coaching anymore? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they stated it's health reasons, but I believe it's more. But regardless of the fact, yeah, I'm wondering, bro, does that contribute to it? Are you excited? Because we got a new manager now that people don't really know.
Look, I don't wish ill will on any man. However, yes, when I saw that news, I was jumping for joy. Once again, I don't wish ill will on anybody. But the fact that we are this is one of those addition by subtraction equations right here.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Man, like it's like a breath of fresh air. And the fact that we're only 3 games behind still, like I don't understand. We don't have
this division.
Man. This season is so depressing. I'm halfway checked out already. I'm not even like really, like I just briefly see the score, like, oh, okay, it's whatever. It's like it's a buzzkill. This whole season was a buzzkill from day one because couldn't get right. Manager out here doing dumbest things in MLB history, and people just scratching their head all over the world looking at this dude, and there's no accountability. The owner just backing him off all the way. It's like it's a joke. Like, this here's a joke. We have so much promise on this team. I mean, 2 years ago we was smacking the ball over the place.
Mm-hmm.
We can't even do that right. We're just average at best. Average. We are an average team. We're playing average. I mean, some of it is the players, but I feel like a lot of it is the drunk guy that's not around right now. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we literally have a month left to pull this together. Somehow, some way, we're still here. Tim Anderson's still recovering. I mean, it's going to take a lot of. I'm gonna use Dan Campbell's word from Hard Knocks, grit. It's going to take a lot of grit to muster this one together. So, so yeah,
can do it.
So we'll see.
Take advantage of the schedule. Some have stronger schedules than ours, so take advantage of that, and I think it can happen because
they can possibly pull this thing off, and
the Yankees. They lost, how many they lose? They lost 18 games or 10 games. No, they lost 10 games. They won 8 and lost 10, right?
Are you talking about the last 18 or the last 10 or?
Yeah, no, that sounds about right because it was on a skid.
Yeah,
real bad.
I think if it can happen to them, it can happen to the other people, and we can be on the opposite end of that.
Right.
Because they losing to somebody. So you know what I mean. So
right. And so we'll see y'all how the Sox turn out with everything. And so guys. Just lastly, let's talk a little bit of the NL East and just how that balances out with the National League. So just an FYI, guys. The Atlanta Braves, y'all, they are one of the hottest teams in baseball. And if you remember, Jamar, we didn't have Atlanta on our radar at all. They just got hot last year at the right time. They got hot going into the playoffs, got the steaming, real steaming. Their records were nowhere good as Kevin, San Francisco or LA. Nowhere near as good as those teams. Mm-hmm. But luckily, San Francisco and LA played each other because they were in the same division. So they had to play each other in the wild card. And so the Atlanta Braves are kind of in a similar situation here. The New York Mets are the best team in the National League. And they are the best, the National League East. And they look good. They've been a great team all year. But the Atlanta Braves are now hot and putting pressure on them. Serious pressure because they got a late season surge. And let's not forget that they won the World Series last year. So if the wild card were to take place today, it will be the Atlanta Braves, y'all, playing against the third place team, who happen to be a good team as well, the Philadelphia Phillies. So these are all the teams in the same division. The Braves and the Phillies will play each other for that wild card, which I believe one of them will probably end up playing the NL East winner, which will probably be the Mets or so. And so just curious, guys, with the Atlanta Braves, let's talk about them. Or let's even talk about the Philadelphia. Let's talk about these teams. Do you feel, as example, guys, the New York Mets? Who do you think will come out of this division between these? Let's say between the Braves and the Mets. Who do you feel will come out of the division between the Braves and the Mets? And are they a threat to take down the mighty Los Angeles Dodgers? Whom, if we remember, y'all, has a pretty stacked roster. They made a lot of big moves in all season. And so just curious, guys, who do you got for that division? And who do you feel will are they a perennial threat to the Dodgers? So Kevin, give me your thoughts, bro.
I'm looking at the roster now because I've been in and out with their but I hear them a lot. But I think
it all good. Right. We talk about this on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. We don't expect everybody to be up to par on everything. So that's why we try to come with the material in advance and have it there. And so if you got questions, let us know, man. And so
But I'm gonna pick the Mets though. Like that, my baseball was my first love.
Okay.
I like them, the autonomy that they have, the pitching, and that fielding. Like, they play no games. So I am more so that the Mets they come out.
Right. Okay. And do you feel that these guys are a threat to take down the mighty Dodgers, or do you think that the Dodgers, that the National League is theirs for the taking?
No, I still think the Dodgers are that team. I still think that they have a swag that's unmessable, messwittable, and I think um it's because of their. I'm a big personnel guy. I think when your personnel treats you well, you play better, and things of that nature. So I'm very big on that. I feel like yes, the Mets will come out, but the Dodgers will sustain.
Right. Yeah, and just as an FYI, guys, the Dodgers, their their pitching staff, Jamar. Of course, we know about Clayton Kershaw, but let's not forget, Kevin, that they got David Price. We know about David Price. This guy
Okay.
is damn near just as good as Kershaw, history-wise, not just now. We're talking about history-wise. Alex Vasea, great closer, man. Tyler Anderson has been killing it all year. Caleb Ferguson, a grown man. These guys can play the game. Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Trey Turner, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts.
Mookie.
Mookie Betts. So this is a very stacked roster. And so if you feel like the Dodgers is still theirs for the taking, I don't blame you, brother. Jamar, just your thoughts, bro. Who do you feel come out of the NL East between the Dodgers between the Braves and the Mets? And do you feel that they are a perennial threat to take down the mighty Dodgers? Well,
give me a second on that one.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chime in really quickly. Between the Braves and the Philadelphia, they are there, but they're not exactly there. They're 11 and a half out. So I don't necessarily view them as a threat to win the NL East, Kevin. But I tell you what, how baseball works, and we know how this works. If one of these teams would play the Mets in the playoffs, then I would be very worried for the Mets. Because number one, they're in the same division. And with baseball, it's not about who's necessarily the best team. It's about who's the best team in or not. It could be the Braves were on nobody's radar last year. But the only thing that the Braves had was a hot streak going into the playoffs. They got really hot, a late season surge. And they were just clicking on all cylinders. Right. But the Dodgers and the Giants were the best teams all year. Clearly the two best teams all year. 105 wins, 107 wins, just great teams. But they still lost to the 80-some win Braves, who basically got hot at the right time. They only won like 80-some games. And so that shows you how baseball works. But I'm gonna stick with the Mets for the division. Because the Mets, they have one of the best hitters in baseball. They have some big names in the Big Apple as well. They've been playing great all year. So I'm gonna stick with the Mets because I feel like the Braves, the one problem with the Braves, and that's just for me, is the Braves, they battle health. They haven't been healthy all year. They're still getting guys back. Ozuna's in and out. He needs to be more consistently on the field. Whereas with the Mets, I've been seeing them being consistently healthy the whole season. And so kind of for that reason, I kind of look at the Mets and say, okay, I believe they'll take the division over the Braves. But the Braves are more so doing this, Kevin. They're looking at that. They're looking at that trophy, bro. They're looking at that trophy. So they saying, all right, let them take the damn division. All right.
Yeah.
We want our health.
Yeah, that's the saying. Yep, that's a lot of,
You feel me?
Yeah.
And that's what veteran teams do. You know, like, we going to get our health in the playoffs. And when the playoffs come, we're going to smack the hell out of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to have our health. And here they are, the Mets. They just happy to be winning. It's just like, bro, how it works. Like, remember the Bulls. Love my Bulls. 2011, right? You know, we got our number one seed. We up the band. We see how it work all the time. those young teams, when they've been whacked for a while and they finally had that great season,
Yeah.
they just want to win every game, right, Kevin? Every game.
Yeah.
And the veteran teams that's been there, done there, like, oh, let them have a spotlight. Let them have a spotlight.
We'll
But
take
when
the
lights
third
get
seed. We'll
right,
take the second seed.
right. But when the playoffs come, they'll see what time it is.
Yeah.
And so that's basically what the Mets are right now. And the Braves are like, all right, once the playoffs get here, we're going to have our health and the world will see what time it is because our focus is a championship, not just a division. And so for that reason, I feel like the Mets will take the division, but the Braves, I feel, will be somewhere standing toe-to-toe in that NL championship scenario. That's just me. I feel like it's a crash course, I feel like, bro, that is going to happen between the Braves and the Dodgers. That's just me for the NL championship.
You like the Braves and the Dodgers, but yeah, I think Mets, but we'll see. We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
We're gonna see, man. And as far as the actual champion for the NL, right now it's up in the air. It's up in the air because I think experience. Both of these teams are experienced, Kevin. Both of them. One just won the World Series last year, and the other just won the World Series 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
So it's like
the Braves and the Dodgers just won the last 2 World Series.
Mhm.
And I feel like they are bound to meet again to have a battle for who will go to the World Series this year. And so right now I'm up in the air on it, but we will see. And we will just kind of balance out and say, hey, as September progress, maybe I'll have an answer, but I just got to see, man, how things are looking once the playoffs hit. And so, yeah. And so, Jamar, bro, close this out, man. Close this out quickly, bro. Who do you feel will win the NL East? And who do you feel is still that top dog in the NL?
As far as the NL East, my heart says Atlanta, but something tells me that the Mets are not gonna let that one go. I personally want to see the Braves do it, but I don't think so. As far as the NL, I mean, the Dodgers are always relevant, but I think it's gonna be the winner of the NL East for that one.
Right. And so, in other words, and Kevin, as we see, Jamar's busy with his little one, but it appears to be that he feels that the NL East winner will likely be the champion of the NL, and so that'll be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see what occurs with that. And so, with that being said, world, we want to give a farewell to Serena Williams. 858 tour wins, 23 Grand Slam wins. She has forever transcended the sport of tennis as well as the culture. And so, anything you want to say about Serena quickly, Kevin, as we head out?
Goated, just goated with grace and the best. I feel like up there as one of the best athletes ever.
Yeah, best athletes ever.
Thank you, Serena.
Yeah. Jamar, man, just quickly, any final thing you want to say or any final thoughts about Serena Williams, man, as we head out?
Absolutely. Serena, that's it. That's all that's in the conversation.
That's the tweet. Serena.
That's it, man. Like, I feel like we are spoiled by her and the Williams sisters in general. The things that she was able to do over the course of her career. She is on the Mount Rushmore for me as far as greatest athletes of all time, and rightfully so. We'll never, ever see another Serena again.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And yeah, fellas. Let's see. We do what we call final thoughts and shout outs. And so, Kevin, basically, since you're our guest, with the final thoughts and shout outs is just like, all right, as example. My final thought for this weekend is everybody be safe, put the guns down, keep God first, stay safe. College football is back. Let's enjoy it. NFL is back next weekend. Let's enjoy it. We'll make our picks and all that next weekend. Kevin, thank you, man, for joining us on the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. We
Thank you.
truly
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you
me, man.
chopping it up with us. And it's
Yes.
a pleasure, Jamar, to learn how you and Kevin met, South Shore Line, etc. That is awesome, man. And you guys are continuing to keep in touch today. That's a beautiful thing. And so those are my final thoughts and shout outs, man. Shout out to the Chicago Sky. Let's get it done, baby.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the NBA finals.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, Kevin, any final thoughts, man? Anything?
Yeah, man. Yes. I would just say, as you say, with the guns, just stay safe. Obviously, keep God first, keep them foundational. And don't be afraid to reach out. A lot of people not communicating to family, friends, stuff like that. So, in these kind of times, where communication's everywhere, find a way to communicate in a way you can, but communicate though with people. Just so you know. Yeah, shout out to Serena. Shout out to Chicago sports. I think our personnel is getting a lot better. It's moving in the right direction. Shout out to Justin Fields. I know he's trying to, change it, and he's getting our expectations up. Yeah, Candace Parker. I was trying to go to that game. I ended up not going, but yeah, but I think they're gonna do it again. I think they're gonna be able to say they really are falling in love with themselves again and with how they play, especially how they went on that run. Just in the last game. So just kind of being able to kind of get the team back and bring another championship back to Chicago. Maybe they'll be playing in the United Center, in a couple of years. maybe the Wayne Trust be too small, but hopefully, they pull that off. And yeah, just shout out to tennis. U.S. Open, just the attendance. The U.S. Open is bringing, everyone's there, and everyone was watching, not just Serena, but they were watching tennis. So, just shout out to the generations and the future of that.
Right, for real, yes, sir. Jamar, bro, give us the final word.
All right, I'm gonna keep this one brief but very important. This is actually gonna be a shout out to our guest, Kevin. Thank you for finally having the time to join us today, man. Definitely a pleasure to have met you when we was working together.
Yeah.
But also, I just want to say you are one of the most kind-hearted, genuine persons I ever met in my life. So continue to stay that way, my brother.
Thank you. Same, man. Likewise. Thank you. Wow.
I felt that. That is very, very heart touching. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
No problem.
We're gonna do this again. Hey, ask me again.
All right, Kevin. We look forward to having you, man, because it's a pleasure. I had a ball this morning. It's been a blast.
Yeah,
it's been.
I know. Yeah, you really are to talk before the show. You really
Yes, sir. And so yes, well, that concludes another episode of the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Thanks to my brother Jamar Goodman has always been available. He has been with me this whole ride. Together, man, we created this thing, it's been a blast. It's been fun. And so yes, thank you all for tuning in this weekend with us. Enjoy all the sports. Enjoy everything that's occurring. Follow us. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We are in various places, Spotify, etc. Shout out to Destination Fantasy Podcast. Shout out to the No Offense network. You can find Jamar Goodman on both of those platforms. He works very diligently, and he is a very important figure and a key figure in the podcast world and in the sports world in general.
Appreciate
shout
you,
out
bro.
additionally, no problem, bro. Shout out additionally to our other partner, People Hernandez, who could not be with us this morning. But I can assure you, Kevin, you come with us next time. He will be here. Jamar will be here. Good. So yes, TPM Sports Talk is what he does. And then he See Your Cuz No, that's another podcast he does. And so as you see, Kevin, I'm surrounded by some vets.
Yeah.
I'm surrounded by two vets. They do their thing, man. They are doing various things in the podcasting world and in the sports world in general. So thank you all for tuning in with us this morning. May you all have a great weekend. Have a great day. Thank you again for supporting the Early Morning Sports Talk podcast. Peace.
All right, brothers.